Howdy, everybody. This is Mike Taggy, a solo hobbyist game dev, doing game dev as a hobby part time after I finish my full time job. I just wanted to do a practical tutorial on how to set up a dynamic translated block of text. I've tried to add localization to my game, and I had to piece together how I wanted it to turn out from watching a couple of tutorials and reading through documents and piecing things together. And I just wanted to provide other people with a practical tutorial that has all the steps that you need in one place and make it a little bit easier so that people don't have to piece things together the way I did. So here I put together a couple of steps that we're going to go over here to create our localized dynamic text. And by dynamic, I mean I want the text to be in the language that the user has, but I want to put in numbers that are dynamic from the game, whether they be like the amount of damage somebody sustains or the number of, in this case, achievements a player has to have to unlock the next upgrade. So I'm going to be going over these 5 steps, and it will include everything you need to get this added to your game from start to finish. And what I would say is if you're thinking about localizing your game, you should start this right now. You should start the translation CSV be at the first step, even if you're only using one language, so that when it comes time to add the localization, it can be done by just modifying this CSV. And if you're not familiar with the CSV, what CSV stands for, it's comma separated value. It's a type of flat text file that each of the columns in it is separated by a comma. So it's a text file, but people typically use an Excel or spreadsheet application to edit it. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to go into a game and kind of show and visualize what we're trying to achieve here. So right now I've got the screen that I want to add some dynamic text to. I've already got a bunch of dynamic localized text, but I want to add something else. So the player earns achievements in the middle of a mission, and there's unlock points. When they get a certain number of achievements, I believe in this case it's 4, they'll get a class upgrade, 7, they'll get a second one, and 9, they'll get a third one. So I want to tell the player that when they hit these points, they will unlock a class upgrade. I want to add it right here under this achievements unlocked one because it seems to fit like that to me generally. So that's the visualization of where we're trying to make the change. And let's talk about how I want to do this generally. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create a CSV file. And we're not going to create the new one from within Godot, but I just want to point out here that when you do create them, you can look at them easily from that File System Explorer by typing in CSV. You can see here that I've got multiple CSV files. I've got this base one for kind of the overall game engine and menu screens and things like that. But for the cards and the enemies and the gears, I have separate CSVs so that I can easily see where I need to go to update some text without having to search through one giant CSV file. So I'm going to create this. Another thing I want to point out here is I have a UI folder, and I created a folder just for translations so that I have them all in one place. Going to my Files Explorer, you can see I have all of these CSVs, some in here. And then you'll see a bunch of ones that say .import and .de.translation. So let me go to one of these, and I can show you what we're going to look at here. I'm using OpenOffice. It suits my needs just fine. The one thing you know is the character set needs to be Unicode UTF-8. That's very important, especially if you're looking at localization, because that's what's going to allow you to have those Asian character sets, the Korean, the Chinese, the Japanese. Some of these German languages with like umlauts, or Spanish has the squiggly. I'm not too familiar with Spanish and French and some of those languages, but Unicode UTF-8 is kind of what you want to go for here. That one's kind of mandatory. So when you're in here, it's a CSV file, and it needs to be a CSV, and it's going to have a couple of columns, right? The first one, this first row, you want that first one to be keys. If you're paying attention to this tutorial in English, you probably want the next one to be EN. EN stands for English for the computer system. So this is where you're going to put all your English language translations. On the next column over, I just started messing with German. DE stands for German. I have some familiarity with it, and I don't have to mess with an Asian character set or a lot of translations. So this top row is going to be the language identifier. And if you don't know what those are, you can Google it and see the system language codes, and those are going to be set. So when we're looking at this first column, the standard is the keys. You're going to create them all uppercase character, right? That's going to help you see them and identify them in the Godot engine. And then, of course, here you're going to have what you want the players to see, right? It's pretty straightforward here. I'm just going to go to the bottom because I want to create a new one down here. The dynamic part is this %s, right? And I'll put a link to the Godot docs, but in Godot, there's a way to format strings using some of these escape characters, I believe they're called. %s is to evaluate a variable as a string, right? That's the same thing as when you're in GD script and you have a line of code that says something like str, and then you have the variable name. Let's just pretend it's var number, right? And this variable is an integer and the value is 5. So when you type str and you've got the var number, it's going to evaluate that as a string so that you can add it to another string output, and is equal to, if we're appending this number to the end of a string, right? String output plus. And in this case, because it's a string, it's going to append it to the end. All right. So that %s is doing the same thing as this string function. All right. That's good. I think I've explained that well enough. If you have any questions, of course, you can ask me a question in the comments. But we're going to have this CSV file. And so I want to create the new text string that I want the player to see. So here, let me call this one achievement unlock thresholds, right? And because of where it's going to be, I want to keep these leading spaces. I'm putting some formatting in here. So, just want one of them, one set of them. And then, so here, what I want my text string to say is class bonuses bonus is unlocked at whatever number of achievements I want. So here, %s, %s, %s achievements, right? This actually might be a bit long of a text string, so perhaps maybe I want to change it in the future, but that's fine. So here, what you're going to see is I'm going to save this one, and I'm not going to close this. Now, if I was just making a single change or adding a single thing, I'd probably want to save it and close it, close the spreadsheet application immediately, because what happens is spreadsheet applications will lock the files once you've made a change. And so that does something kind of funny in Godot. We're going to see it, and it's going to put this X on translations, right? Because I came back in the Godot engine and it sees that the file has been changed. It tries to import it, but the spreadsheet application locked that file for editing. So it kind of locked out here. So let me leave that like this for right now, because I'll show you how to fix that real quick when we get to that point. All right, so I've got the CSV, and let me take a sidebar right now and show you how to add that to the game in general. So under the project settings, I'm going to come in here, and there's a localization tab, right? And Godot is going to see that CSV file, and it's going to create automatically, without me doing anything, it's going to create, it's going to import it, and then it's going to look at each of those columns that aren't the key one, and it's going to create these translation files, right? We don't mess with those. Godot creates those. So what I want to do, if I want to add this, is I would go in, I'd click Add, I put it in User Interface, Translations, and I would add that English language translation. If I wanted to add German back in, I took it out because I'm not actively updating them until I'm getting close to release. But if I wanted to add German back in, double click it, and now I have German translations for these system effects. I don't want this in this case. I just want the English translations until I'm done. But here's where you go to add it. Project settings, localization, and you add those system generated ones. All right. So we're in here, and now I want to add that label node to this. So I come into my victory screen, right? And I want to add it right after the achievements. I've got a VBox container. So let me take this achievements one. I will duplicate it, and I'll call unlock thresholds. And I'll put some placeholder text in here that we'll only see when we're looking at it in the editor, which is important for spacing and other considerations, but it's not what we're going to be seeing. It's not what the player is going to be seeing in the game. So what I'm doing in the game is I've got these unlock thresholds set, and I've got them set as constants right now. When the player has 4 achievements, they get the first unlock. When they have 7, they get the second. When they have 10, they'll get the last unlock I have for them. But maybe I want to add more achievements to the game. Maybe I want to double the achievements, and players will be getting a lot more achievements at a point later in the game. So I might want to come in here and I might want to change this 4 to a 6, and that 7 to a 9, and that 10 to a 14, right? And I don't want to go and hunt for that information in those translation files and do it on every line of text just because I want to make a change to the game. So these are the constants I'm going to be using, and they're going to be dynamic in that translation file. All right, so these are the dynamic variables, in this case constants, that I want to slot in there. Where I'm actually setting that label is I'm setting that label in that VBox container that houses them. So right here, I've got a pointer to all of those labels fields. So here I want to go and I want to connect to that unlock thresholds, and I want to have text. And then here I'm going to start with TR, and that means that's going to be the translation server. Okay, so that's going to be when it sees that TR, that's when the game knows to look into these CSV files and these acceptable translation documents to actually set the text. And I don't remember what exactly I put, but I put achievement unlock thresholds. So let me copy that and throw that in there. So seeing this achievement unlock thresholds is what tells the game to get this one, right? If it's English. If it's German, it's going to get that one. When I add, say, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, it's going to go look at that appropriate column. But anyway, so I pasted in that key ID. All right. So now how do I put the dynamic text in here? Well, you do that by doing the %. If there was only a single dynamic one, we could just paste it in here. As you see, I'm looking at a global variable for here. So I just put it in there. No brackets, no nothing. I'm just putting it in there. However, in this case, you can see that I have 1, 2, 3 dynamic pieces that I'm injecting into there. So in this case, we need to show the game that we're sending it an array. And we do that by doing these brackets. So here, I'm going to do a bracket, and we're going to have an array. So we're going to have 3 variables, so I'm going to need 2 commas. All right. So where am I hosting that constant that I want to look at? Well, it's on that victory screen one. So let me take the victory screen. I did an onReady variable for it. I'm going to have it do victory screen, and I want to access that variable, achievement threshold 1. And I'm just going to make this a little bit easier because I've named it similar enough things. Paste it in there and have those 3 things. All right, so I've now got the text I want. I'm calling the translation server on that key ID, percentage, and I'm throwing those 3 variables in there for that dynamic text that I want. It's not going to work though because I have this red X. So how do I get rid of that red X? Well, I've got to close the file, right? It needs to not be locked for editing. So I'm going to come in, because I'm paranoid, I'll save it again, and then I'll close it. All right, so here I go to this, right click, re-import. It's going to see that, and now I should be good to go. Let's fire it up, make sure that it looks like what I want it to look like. Oh, Steam decides it wants to shut me down. Okay, Steam shut down. Let me fire that up again. Continue. Class bonuses unlocked at 4, 7, 10 achievements. Maybe I'll go back into that CSV, change it, and throw in an end in English. I might not want that end in another language. I might want to change the sizing of this, but that I'm going to do in that CSV file. And I'll probably perhaps I'll throw in a /n, which would create a new line for it, and then put the spaces and maybe put some more spaces. So class bonuses unlocked at, well, let's try that. I mean, we got some time. It's a YouTube video. I have unlimited time, right? So I'm going to go in and edit this. So in here, I'd like to see an end. Let me see if I can remember the direction of that. Let's save that. And because I've saved it before, and I'm going to close it before going back into the Godot editor, I won't need to re-import it this time. It's going to look again, and because it's not locked, I should be good to go. There we go. Class bonuses unlocked at 4, 7, and 10 achievements. I actually like the spacing of this. It doesn't block my background art or the buttons I want at the center. It's got that N there, and that /n allowed me to jump to a second line. And I think I've achieved what I wanted to achieve here. So hopefully that helped you understand how to implement some dynamic translation localization. I'd suggest you do this as early as possible in your project so that, you know, when it comes time for the end of the game. And just a little tip here, you can right click this here and you can say open an external program, and that's going to open it in OpenOffice again. So that when it comes time to do the translation, if you're hiring somebody to do it, you can just send out this CSV file and they can fill in the comment, the column you need to for you. And you can make the changes in here, and it's pretty straightforward. All right, so now we hit the shameless plug part of the game, part of the video. So I actually have been working on a game, and if you guys are interested in the work I'm doing, I would be grateful if you would give my game a check. It's here. It's called Level Up Everything. It's a work in progress. I'm hoping to release it in March 2025. Give me a follow. Give me a wish list. It would be helpful. And give this video a like and a follow. I plan on putting out a video every week. Sometimes it might be a practical tutorial like this. Sometimes it might be me talking about my game dev journey, my thoughts on design, or maybe even a devlog. Thanks for your time, and have a good one, y'all.